Dotson, I believe I hear the beginning of another case.
Remarkable, Holme. I'll get it.
Are you the great nobody Holme, the great analyzer?
I am?
I need help. I want to work for Dr. Jones, an instructor in archaeology.
And the problem?
Well, he needs a personal secretary. I'm an excellent typist, but he travels all over the world to Egypt, India, China. I'm just not sure I can handle the interview.
Dotson, hand me down my who's who. I believe we can help you, my dear. I believe that Dr. Jones is associated with a prominent American university and has acquired several rare antiquities for the museum attached to the university. He is also somewhat of an adventurer.
But what does he want in a secretary?
Well, as a man who represents a university, he will want someone who spells correctly and uses proper punctuation.
Remarkable, Holme.
Not at all. A man would not want to appear ignorant before his colleagues, and so his correspondence must be perfect.
I had straight A's in English.
Very good. But of course, that is not all. He will want someone who will be able to handle travel arrangements and coordinate things such as trip reports to the university.
Yes, I guess a man that travels as much as Dr. Jones would need to fill out a lot of forms. I could talk about the business classes I had and the job that I had one summer as a tour guide.
An instructor has many students.
So I should also be prepared to show that I like people, that I'm well organized, and I can set up interviews or meetings.
Exactly, you're starting to get the idea. But there is one other very important thing that you should look at in your qualifications.
What could that be?
Could it have something to do with what he teaches?
Exactly. As an archaeologist, I'm sure he would want you at least familiar with history. And as a man who is constantly looking for new and rare items, items that are valuable, he would also like to see discretion.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Holme. By just looking up one reference and using a little analysis, you've answered all my questions. I know I will get that job.
Busy.
Mr. Holme, my name is Al. I'm at my wit's end. A famous millionaire in Gotham City needs a butler for his stately mansion. Yet I don't think I can pass the interview.
Well, first of all, how are you planning to dress?
Just like this.
Oh, but that won't do at all. Do sit down. One must dress appropriately for the job.
What do you mean appropriately?
Well, what is the function of a butler in the household?
He oversees the running of the house.
And as such, he represents the household. How would a wealthy man want his home to appear?
Of course. If I look like a bum, then it might look bad for my employer.
That's right. You should wear a dark suit, have your shoes shined, get a fresh haircut, and remember your manners. Traditionally, a butler is the quiet type, always following the rules of etiquette and formal behavior.
That's it. I know I have the skills. I just need to look like I thought about the job and my appearance. How can I thank you, Mr. Holme?
No thanks are necessary, and I'm sure you'll do a wonderful job.
No time for tea.
Mr. Holme, I have a job interview with a newspaper in Metropolis as a reporter, so I thought that I would practice by interviewing you, writing it up, and showing how skilled I am at interviewing.
I'd be happy to help, miss.
First, how did you become an analyzer?
Well, I realized that people did not understand the process of interviewing, so I decided to fill the need. That's the first rule of business. Find a need and fill it.
Very interesting.
First problem. For an interview such as this, you should have come prepared with some questions. But if somebody says something interesting, you should follow up with some ad-libbed questions. Interviewing requires information from both sides.
I see. So I could follow up the idea that you just gave me with a question like, what kind of information?
Right. I would say that one of the biggest skills necessary for good interviewing is the skill of listening.
I guess that makes sense. But how do I know when to interject a question?
The thing to remember is that you are here to ask questions, not to show off your own knowledge. To interview a person, you should be thinking of the simplest way to get vital information from the interviewee, record it, and restate it for a larger audience.
So, I get the person I'm interviewing interested in a subject that would also be important to my readers, and then I keep him talking about that subject.
Exactly. Then, that way, they can be spontaneous and probably very interesting. But if not, you could follow up with some questions that keep the conversation going and interesting. The art of conversation has not died. It has become the art of interviewing.
I think I've got it.
I think you do. Remember, there are essentially two types of questions, open and closed. A closed question requires a simple yes-no response. For example, you might ask, "Is it a nice day today?" They respond, "No." Where can you go with that kind of a response? An open question would allow the interviewee to answer at more length. You might ask, "Describe the weather to me today."
I see.
People are very complex, and most of the issues in which we are interested are complex as well and deserve to be answered fully.
Thank you, Mr. Holme. Oh, by the way, may I quote you?
As long as you spell my name correctly. Please give my regards to the rest of the newspaper staff. Especially that fellow with the glasses. I always thought there was something more to him than meets the eye.
Do we have a doorbell? This man wants to speak to you.
I understand he needs someone to tidy up.
Good heavens, Holme. This man has read my mind. Why don't you interview him for the job?
Not quite sure how to go about it.